In this series, I'm going to be beating Cuphead with every single shot to find out which ones are the best and the worst. In this video, Converge, Chaser, and Charge will be facing off. For every boss, I will be giving each shot a score from -5 to 5, with positive scores indicating that the shot was effective at beating the boss, and negative scores indicating that the shot was not effective. Also, I will be giving shots zeros, indicating that the difference between using that shot and most other shots is negligible. I will be skipping most of the bosses I give a 0 to, and I will also be skipping over most of the setup for the runs. Basically, I just pacifist treetop troubles with the smoke bomb and then head to the DLC, where there are plenty of coins from the King's Pass and other places. If you want more detail, check out my lobber only video where I explain the setup. So anyways, first up we have the Converge. Of all the shots in Cuphead, I think this one is the most pointless. Shots like Twist Up and Lobber definitely suck, but at least they have a purpose that they are trying to serve, and you can see the concept that the devs were going for with them. But with Converge, I don't see the point in this one. I guess the idea is that it pierces so you can deal with minions while also hitting the boss or other minions, but this is useful in like a grand total of 2 times in the whole game. Also, this thing isn't even that good at dealing with minions because the projectiles are tiny and there's a huge amount of space in between each of them. And even if you do manage to hit some, it's not that effective because the damage on this thing is abysmal. It's only somewhat acceptable if you're hitting all 3 of the projectiles, but in order to do that, you need to hold the lock on button, which prevents you from moving. Maybe this makes sense to do on a controller, but I don't see the point of preventing movement on a keyboard, because you have more than enough keys to be able to move and hold the lockdown. But then again, I'm probably like one of the only people on the planet who plays Cuphead on the keyboard. Also, for each shot, I will mention some things outside the actual mechanics of the shot for the ranking. And for Converge, I have to mention the sound effect. It's probably the most annoying one in the whole game, and I had to listen to it for a really long time for this challenge. As far as what the score means, a -5 means I literally can't beat the boss with this shot, and a +5 means that I basically can do it with my eyes closed. A -4 means the boss is extremely hard and took at least an hour to beat, like the Phantom Express and Saltbaker for lobber only. -3 is the same but not quite as bad, and -2 and 1 means it was even less bad but still worth mentioning. So anyways, none of the base game bosses deserved anything more than a minus or +2, so I moved on to the Moonshine Mob, and my god, this boss gets a fat -3. I wanted to give it a -4, but in hindsight, it wasn't quite as bad as the other -4 bosses from the lobber playthrough. The problem here is the third phase. You can very rarely hit the boss with more than one of the Converge beams, which means you're going to be doing less damage than you would with the Chaser. This abysmal damage also means that killing a police ball takes so long that by the time you kill one, another one has probably already spawned, making it even harder to hit the boss. Lastly, we have the Devil and Angel, and once again, like my lobber playthrough, I couldn't do it. However, I'm not going to give the Converge a -5, because unlike the lobber, this one definitely seems possible. I just can't stand doing this boss with anything other than Chaser or Crackshot. Lobber on this boss is also technically possible. There are a few people on YouTube who have done it, but that takes a Cuphead god to do, whereas this one just seems like it would take a lot of patience and luck with the fire pillars. If this series gets a lot of attention, I might come back to try to do this boss with all the shots, but the problem with that is that you can only beat this boss once per playthrough, and you can only hold a maximum of 3 playthroughs, so I'd have to play through the entire game a lot just to beat this one boss. Anyways, next up we have the Chaser. Now that the crack shot exists, this shot is almost completely obsolete, but it still has the advantage of constantly homing on, as opposed to crack shot, which just locks on once when it breaks and then goes straight. This means that Chaser is technically more effective at hitting fast moving targets, which, well, is pretty much only useful on just a few enemies on a few run and gun levels. Also, this shot has to win the award for the most useless EX. On a lot of bosses, it's hard to deal any damage without taking damage yourself, and even if you can, it's just 8 regular projectiles, so it deals a pointless amount of damage. It's only good as like a shield from minions, which again, is pretty much only useful on run and gun levels. At least this shot has the least annoying sound effect in the whole game. I didn't find the homing ability that useful on most bosses, so most of the time this shot was just pea shooter with less damage. However, the decrease wasn't enough to justify many negative scores until I reached the devil. The game basically expects you to use this spread and just spam the eyes non-stop, so not doing this makes the fight drag on forever. Also, this thing sucks at killing the bats. This fight easily earns a -3. Lastly, for this video we have charge. This shot theoretically has the best DPS in the game, but the fact that dashing causes you to shoot your half-charged shot means that you can rarely actually achieve maximum damage. Also, for obvious reasons, this thing absolutely sucks at dealing with minions. Fully charging for every one is usually not an option. In fights with a lot of them, my finger was physically tired by the end because I had to press the shoot button for each individual projectile to be able to kill the minions fast enough. For other aspects of the shot worth mentioning, this is the only one where money is an issue. It costs 12 coins to buy, meaning that you need to be able to beat at least 2 of the king's bosses on your first attempt at the castle, and collect all the coins in Treetop Troubles in order to be able to afford it at the start of the game. This is not too bad for most players, but it did mean I had to work with a much smaller arsenal of charms for this run. However, this didn't matter that much because I pretty much always just go for coffee on easy bosses and Twin Heart or Astral Cookie for pretty much everything else. Once again, killing the bats with charge sucks. I think I died to this phase of the devil more than I died to every other boss combined. My strat was just to not focus on the bats much at all and just try to get the phase over with as fast as possible. So that's all the shots I had time to show off in this video. So far, the final tallies are -6 for converge, -2 for chaser, and -5 for charge. Although I did not cover it in the last video, lobber would get a -4 for Phantom Express and Saltbreaker, as well as -1 for Cagney and Baroness, -2 for Brinybeard and Glumstone, and +2 for Grim and +1 for Mortimer, leading to an overall score of -9. So yeah, thanks for watching.